If you're a regular viewer of House of Cars, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being a regular viewer of House of Cars. You'll probably have noticed that since I started the channel, I've been reviewing an awful lot of SUVs. Now, there's a reason for that. That's because they are plentiful. Every manufacturer pretty much has one. It's easy to see the appeal with them. You know, they're big, they're spacious, they're practical. You know, but what they're not is cool. I mean, probably apart from the little Suzuki Jimny and the Dacia Duster, no SUV is cool, not even a Rolls-Royce Cullinan or Bentley Bentayga or Aston Martin DBX. SUVs just aren't cool. Estate cars, on the other hand, are. And now there's another one to consider. Welcome to this week's new car review. Welcome to the new Volkswagen Passat. Please sit yourself down, make yourself comfortable in the House of Cars. Now, before I get started on this week's review of Volkswagen's new Passat, I am going to be a little bit greedy and ask a bit of a favour of you. If you're not already a subscriber of House of Cars, would you consider becoming one, please? Then once you've done that, make sure you do the usual stuff, you know, press the little bell button, because that means you get notified when the next video is loaded and live. Once you've watched it, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, and of course don't forget, leave me your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the cars we review on the channel, such as the new Volkswagen Passat, and of course on the channel on the whole. Now, you'll notice there that I kept saying Volkswagen Passat, not Volkswagen Passat Estate, and there's a reason for that. The new Volkswagen Passat is only available as an estate car. They're not doing a saloon or a hatchback version of it at all. It is just the estate that they're bringing out, which may seem at first a little bit of an odd decision for Volkswagen to do. But in fairness, the fact we've got the Passat at all is actually quite a good thing, because obviously Volkswagen have already got the large saloon and estate covered with their all-electric offering, the ID.7 and of course the ID.7 Tourer. But the Passat is still a worthy nameplate, and if you thought the Golf was going through its midlife crisis at 50, believe it or not, the Passat is actually older. It's 51, it's older than the Golf, and this is it in its 9th generation. But as I say, this time it's just an estate car. But there's more to it than just that. But as always, before we kick off with the review, let's take a brief snapshot about what the new Passat is all about. Well, like I say, this is the 9th generation Passat, and it comes as an estate car only. You have a choice of 3 petrol engines in the UK, all 1.5 litre 4 cylinders, but with a choice of either a standard engine or a plug-in hybrid option with different power ratings. All models come with front-wheel drive and automatic transmission only. There are 3 trim levels to choose from, and prices start from around £38,000 and rise to just over £50,000 depending on the trim and the engine option that you choose. But like I said, with Volkswagen embracing a more electrified future and them having the ID.7 and ID.7 Tourer in the range, is there really a need for this car? In other words, is it less Passat and more past it? Let's stick it through a House of Cars road test review and find out. Well, as always, we're going to start with how the car looks, and I think it happens to look very good indeed. I think Volkswagen have got the design sort of like back on track again. There was a time where it was a bit bland, but I have to say, I always thought the Passat was always quite a handsome looking car. There's always something quite special about the Passat. I think from the B3 onwards, they got it quite right, and the last generation car I thought was a particularly good looking car, and this new one's no different. Oddly enough, it's a sort of mismatch between the sort of like the styling you see on the Golf and the new ID.7, I think, at the front, and it seems to gel quite well on this large car. Of course, you get these lovely new LED lights, matrix with the IQ light, as they call it, with the adaptive beams and things like that on this particular model. At the side here, you get these lovely sort of like nice little LED daytime running lights across the brow of the light there, but now that goes into a light bar that spears across and joins the 2 lights up. Now that's only on the Elegance and the R line, which this one is. I think it's an option that you get on the Life model, the lead-in car. No illuminated Volkswagen badge, but it is the new big bold VW logo. And you do get these nice bonnet creases, this slight bulge in the middle of the bonnet as well, which it seems to widen the car out a little bit. Now, depending on the trim that you go for, if you do go for the Life or the Elegance, which is the lead-in in the mid-range car, you get these nice sort of like horizontal bars that run across, chrome bars that run across the front. You go for the sporty looking R-Line, this one is, this front area is all different, and it's all gloss black. It's got like a kind of black pack on it, if you like. So you get these gloss black veins here that run into sort of like little sort of like air ducts here that just take the airflow around the wheels there, and then this big open sort of mesh grille at the front. Maybe it's my age, I am starting to prefer the look of the Elegance model. Maybe I'm just getting a bit old now, because a Passat to me is always it's never really been a sporty car. Even the R32, no sorry, the R36, apologies, was never, I mean, it was a sporty Passat, but I don't know if it really sat well, if I'm being blunt about it. Anyway, there you go. If you want the sporty look, you go for the R-Line, and you get all this kind of black frontage at the front. Radar guided cruise control on the car, also, and you get the little sensor down at the bottom there, and of course you get your usual parking sensors. But yeah, I think it's a good looking car. As I say, I like the sort of style that they've got going on with it. As I say, I like the combination of the Golf and the ID range, the ID7 into the car, and I think it gels well, and it's quite a handsome beast, especially as an estate car. Apologies, the weather at the moment has been atrocious around here, and as you can see, it's not exactly clean. But then of course you then realise that I do use these press cars, and you know, I've done quite a few miles, and in fact I've got a long journey coming up in a couple of days time, but unfortunately it's going back the following day, so I can't film with it after that, so I can't really tell you what it's going to be like on a really long drive, like the one I'm about to do on Monday, but there we go. But as I say, at least you know I'm actually using these cars. Right, long car, just under 5 metres long. It has grown by 144 millimetres over the previous car, and it's also grown in the wheelbase by 50 millimetres, so there's more interior space in it, so it's good, nice big car, as I say. 3 trim levels, which we'll go on to talk about later. Base car gets 17-inch wheels, you then move up to 18s in this R-Line, but you do have the option of 19-inch alloy wheels as well. Like I say, the R-Line, you get the black packs, you get the gloss black mirrors here, which stand proud of the doors, gloss black roof rails, and obviously the pillars and stuff like that. These would be a sort of like a satin chrome on the other cars there. Obviously you get privacy glass and a nice, just strong shoulder line that runs the entire length of the car into these rear lights at the back. They've lowered the car a little bit from the previous generation because they've stretched it, they've lowered it to make it not look so out of proportion and make it look a little bit lower and longer and sleeker, which I think has worked. And as I say, I do like the look of the car. It's a good looking car, especially sitting on these sort of like 18-inch wheels. I think it probably look quite nice on the 19s, but quite what that'll do to the ride quality, I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, a nice long car, sloping into this rear end here. You get some nice aero work going on at the back here, which helps with a really low drag coefficient of 0.25 CD, because they've put these sort of like veins down the side of this rear D pillar, which meet the roof spoiler just to help with the airflow management around the car, and it's very smooth down the side of it. But yeah, as I say, handsome, not exactly outstandingly distinctive, or you would say, you know, a style icon, but it's a good looking car, and it'll stand you apart, sort of like, you know, in the company car park, or in the school run, I would say. Now when we get to the rear end of the car, it's like the rest of it. Very nice, very stylish, very neat. It's like an actor, you know, one of those kind of actors, the more you look at them, the more kind of handsome they become to you. It's like that. You know, there's nothing garish, there's nothing superfluous about it. They're not trying to be something that they're not. I think the fact that obviously it's been designed as an estate car right from the start, rather than a saloon turned into an estate, does help. You know, so they're off to a good start with that. Lovely, neat light bar that runs across the width of the car with a 3D element, three-dimensional element light clusters within it. Centrally mounted Volkswagen badge, small on the front, but it doesn't do anything. It's not the boot releaser. It's not got a camera embedded into it. They're tucked underneath there. Of course, you get your, as I say, your roof spoiler here with the veins down the side for the aero efficiency. Neatly integrated rear wash wipe as well. And then moving further down, you get your black Passat badging, because it's the R-Line. It's chrome, silver chrome on the rest of them. You know, red reflector strip along the bottom, and then mirroring the front, you've got this sort of crisscross hatching of a sort of like a fake vent that goes across the back of it in that gloss black. Neat, inoffensive, just a nice looking car, I think. What do you think? Has it turned your head? Have you got one of the old ones? Is this tempting you into upgrading into a new Passat? Or has your head been turned by one of the competition? Skoda Superb. That's an interesting thought, because there's a lot of commonality between the two cars, as we'll discuss later on. Maybe you've thought about the Volkswagen, the BMW 3 Series Touring, or the Mercedes-Benz C-Class Estate, or is Audi's new A5 Avant tickling your pickle? As always, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Now, as cool as they are, no one buys an estate car just to look good. You need it because you need something that's practical. Is the new Passat practical? I'd say so, definitely. Now, oddly enough, if you go for the standard car, the 1.5 non-hybrid car, the boot space is 690 litres. But if you go for a plug-in hybrid, that drops to 530. So it drops quite a bit, but that's still quite an ample size, in fairness. And if you fold down the rear seats, you get up to 1,920 litres, I think it is. Let me show you this, which I quite like. You open the electric boot lid, look at the parcel shelf. As it opens, it just nicely damped, it slides back. Again, it's full of those little details that I really, really like about the car. So, as I say, 530 litres of boot space. I can get the 4 suitcases in to the car. So large, medium, 2 carry-ons. And in fairness, I could get more than that in, because this is the plug-in hybrid. It comes with a cable box, which you can take out. I mean, you're not going to carry that really around with you, but there's a cable box at the back here. It's attached in there, but you know, your granny charger cables are in there. But obviously, if you're using a home wall box that's tethered, you're not going to need that, so you can leave that at home. Also, as well, what I do like about it is the rear seats. They fold in the usual sort of like 40-20-40 split, which I always think is the best way, because it means that you can knock down the centre seat and obviously carry long loads like shelves, you know, planks of wood, you know, fishing rods, and still have 2 passengers in the rear of the car. Plus, as well, you can fold the rear seats down from here, so when you pull that, it knocks it down, and there is some nice underfloor storage as well, which is good enough, you know, for putting sort of like high-vis jackets, spare bulb kits, jump leads and things like that, you know, things that you normally carry around the boot of your car. You can fit them all in there. The other nice thing about it as well is the load height. Look at that, that's my knee level, just above my knee, and I'm only 5'8", I'm a shorty. That is quite a low sill, and there's no sort of like sill to drop in, to drop it a well, to drop it into, or to heave stuff out of, so it all fits neatly. Plus, as well, you get some nice little sort of like hooks that just flip out from the end there. There's a power takeoff socket there, and there's some chrome lashings either side. You can also have the car with an electrically deployable tow bar, which this particular car is fitted in as well, and I shall put the towing weights that it can take down under the bottom there in the little banners below. But even though, as I say, you're sacrificing some boot space if you're going for the plug-in hybrid, I think that's still a very useful, usable space. Right, enough room for the kiddies? Absolutely. Look at the size of this thing. It's huge back here. That's what I'm saying, you know, your extra wheelbase in the car, extra length in the wheelbase, so it just adds to the space that you get for rear passengers. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously, because this is a combustion engine car, and obviously you've got exhaust to package in and stuff like, you know, and obviously some batteries and that type of thing, you do get quite a high transmission tunnel in the centre here. So the person that sits in the centre would have to straddle that. But, you know, even so, there's plenty enough. For 4, it's like a limousine back here. So for 5, it's not going to be too much of a push, I wouldn't have said. Now, I'm 5'8", that's my driving position, and yeah, I mean, I can literally lounge back here. Look at the space I've got there, and I can get my feet right below the seat, and I like my seat quite far down. Practicality, mat pockets in the back of the seats, the 2 little pockets up here, you can slot polements into, or mobile phones and stuff. There's the centre armrest that folds down and has a flip up cover. Oh, lovely, somebody's left me a dirty hanky in there, that's nice. And it also has cup holders in there as well. Plus, as well, you can also get the bottles in the door as well. There's also a little rubber line thing here. Now that, I would suspect, for books or iPads. Look at that. Isn't that nice and neat? And it doesn't slide around. And of course you can charge, because you get your 2 USB-C ports there as well. So you can charge that up. You've got a little, like my little iPad mini, that just sits there nice and neatly. So if the kids are in the back and they want to watch a little bit of cartoons that they've downloaded or whatever, that's fine. There's a little space for the iPad. brilliant. And this is what I mean, this is what I'm saying about Volkswagen. They seem to have got their kind of design back. And I don't just mean the way they look at the way the cars look, thinking about useful things. And there's a part of me that's wondering whether or not that's come from Skoda. Now, the reason I'm saying that is this car was developed on the MLB Evo platform, which it shares with the Skoda Superb, and it's Skoda that did the development work. And I do wonder whether maybe some of Volkswagen designers, you know, when you're sitting in class and somebody was looking over and copying you, you know, whether they've looked and gone, God, they do some quite clever stuff, maybe we should think about doing things. They just seem to have got stuff like that back in their mind again. That type of thing, you know, the nicely damped shelf that goes back, you'll see more stuff up at the front. There's just some little bits that are sneaked into this car that I just think someone's had a real think about. You get integrated blinds, which obviously you need in a kind of winter sun like today, in this particular car here, which again is nice and neat, and it also keeps, you know, the sun off your kiddie's face, and also gives them a bit more privacy as well. As I say, you've got the two USB-C ports there. The ISOFIX points, beautiful. You know, you just push the top of them and the little covers just roll back into the notches, and they're just nice and easy to get to. So again, really nice sort of like thoughtful way of covering up an ISOFIX point. And there's a third one on the front seat as well. And as well, because of that space, if you've got one of those quite bulky swivelling rear child seats, you know, the rearward facing ones you can turn around, there's more than enough space there, I would think, to do that. So yeah, this is a really excellent car as a family car. This car's also got the optional panoramic glass sunroof, which is, you know, I mean, okay, I'm only 5'8". Maybe if I was 6 foot, that would start to eat into my, you know, my headspace a little bit. But in fairness, you don't have to have it. It is an option. So there's going to be enough headroom for most passengers, I would say. So yeah, you know, it just in terms of space, fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Oh, right, let's talk about up here, because this is really good. And this is what I was saying to you back there. There's some nice design touches up here. There's some nice little bits and pieces that Volkswagen have sort of like integrated into the car that are well worth talking about. It's very different to what Passats were, you know, previously, as you can see. But that's no bad thing, you know. As I say, it seems to be straddling that. They're trying to also keep the sort of like the Passat crew on board. So people that have always been very loyal Passat buyers, you recognise a lot of things and you'll like a lot of what they've done with it. But obviously they're trying to integrate that new technology into it as well. So it's trying to keep a feet in both camp and keep everyone happy. And on the whole, they have been successful, I think. So your engine stop start button is down here. So if I pop that on, you'll see everything kind of start to light up now. Now, let me just first of all explain this. We'll talk about this infotainment screen here, because it has been an area of Volkswagen previously that has been a cause for concern, and myself included. When I've reviewed the cars, certainly the ID cars on Auto EV, never really got on with it. And they've changed it, and it was always odd because again, Skoda seemed to be the ones that nailed it. Audi do a separate system, but you know, and theirs is good. But it's feeling a bit outdated now. Skoda's the one that seems to have got it right, but Volkswagen have changed this, and it is for the better. It's still not perfect, but it's so much better than it used to be. Now, you get a 12.9-inch screen as standard. This is the optional 15-inch Pro Max. So if you think about like iPhones, you know, you get your Pro and your Pro Max. That's the kind of thing. So this is what it is. It's the bigger 15-inch screen, so there's more real estate to see things going on, which means it doesn't neatly integrate into the design quite as nicely as the standard screen. But again, you've got the choice, at least depending obviously on what you want. So before I delve into that, let me discuss the things which are still here and still annoy me. These slider controls here, okay? You know, for the temperature adjustment and the volume. However, thank you, Volkswagen, they are now backlit, so you can see them at night. And once you start getting used to them, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I'd just prefer, like Skoda does with the 3 dials, would be so much easier to use when you're out driving. It just would be. So, you know, with their little multifunction screens in the middle of the dials. They've put the screens on the dials, whereas what Volkswagen seem to have done is put the dials into the screen. They've done it the other way around. But anyway, it's better and it does work okay. You do get the climate control system at the bottom of this screen permanently, okay? So in terms of the temperature, it's there, AC, your heated seat, obviously there, heated rear screen and maximum defrost, but they are still in the screen. They are not buttons, as I say. So you do have to go into it if you do want to sort of like fine tune the AC, which is my wee bugbear. So you press the climate menu and here it comes up. So you know, there's your fan speed adjustment, your aircon, whether you want it synced up and where you want your direction to go. There's auto and there's smart as well. So you've got defog windows, cool my feet, warm my feet. You can also ask the car to do it. It has voice recognition. Where is it? There's a little button up here. You can ask the car just those simple instructions, you know, cool my feet, warm my face, whatever, and it will start to do that. But I still do think it's just a bit of a faff rather than having normal dials. But in fairness to Volkswagen, they have answered a lot of criticisms about the system and the software is a lot better. Okay, if I go back to these little tiles here, so you get two screens there. Again, it's not the fastest, it's okay. You know, there's faster ones out there, but it's not too overwhelming either. You know, there's just two rows of tiles on each of those screens, you know, depending obviously on what you want to find. So that's it there. You get standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is wireless, which is good. And there's a wireless charging pad for your mobile down in there. If you now, most people will, sorry, the home button is just that centre one there. It takes you straight back to sort of like the home. There you go, that's your home page there. If you know me at all and you're a regular viewer, again, thank you, you'll know that I hate all those driver assistance systems. I just find them annoying, but they default on. They are relatively simple to take off in the Passat. So, you know, you press this, there's an assist button there, so you press that, and that brings them all up immediately. And you just have to turn them off, the ones you don't want. So your lane keep assist, your speed warning, your attention warning, your drowsing monitor, your speed limiter, eco-assist, all the stuff there. So it is just one press and then a second press to turn the ones off that you want. Okay, so it's not, again, the end of the world. Yes, again, it'd be easier if you could set it up in a profile and have one single button to turn everything off, but only Renault do that at the moment. I wish other manufacturers would do something as simple as that, but they don't. But my point is, the Volkswagen system is fairly easy to use. Okay, it's all right. It does have some quite clever stuff as well. You've got a parking assistant as well, where you can pull up beside a long parking space. It's quite tight. The car will monitor the space and it will actually back the car in or pull the car out. I think you can also do it from the Volkswagen app as well. You can stand outside the car and get it to pull in and out of the space, which is very clever. And that's what I'm saying. They're integrating new modern kind of stuff into Passat, which maybe you've never had with the car before. But all that's there and it's all nice and relatively simple to use. You can set up charging schedules. If it's the plug-in hybrid, go for like this. This one's got a head-up display because it's got, that's the other thing you get. If you go for the bigger screen, you get a head-up display. So you can alter the head-up display and its positioning, depending on the height of the driver. And the amount of information that it gives you as well. As I see, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all the rest of it, stuff like that. Right, okay, I don't need to go on about it. It's all there. Slider controls remain, but they are backlit now, but it's much faster. The processor's a bit quicker, it's a bit clearer, especially if you go for the bigger screen. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it used to be. If you pull down on it, you can get a shortcut into changing the sounds, radio favorites, turning off the audio, air conditioning immediately, and the brightness and stuff. So once you get used to where it all is, just like your mobile, it's relatively straightforward. Right, I'm going to leave that alone now. I'm going to jump across now to the driver display, which is a 10-inch display, digital screen. Really nice. And again, like a lot of the Volkswagen Group cars, you can configure it. So depending obviously on what you want to see, because when I first jumped into it, I started to think there's quite a lot of information on there, but you can change the view. You can change it from dials to wee squares and things like that. You can also change it to be a very minimalist view as well. So just a speed readout at the bottom, your revs or your battery level, and your media that's connected there. Or you can have it to show you quite a lot of information, including what's playing on your media and your state of charge and some trip computer settings. So you can really configure it depending obviously on what you do or do not want to see. The other thing that I like is you can put the map into the screen like you can with the Audis, the Volkswagens, but that's only the inbuilt navigation system. It's not, if you use Waze, or Google Maps and Apple Maps, it doesn't do that. It's just the inbuilt navigation system that it puts in that screen. Maybe next gen cars will see stuff like that happen. as Apple develop it along with the manufacturers. But it's good, and you can, as I say, you get a nice clear view of it through this nice 3-spoke steering wheel, which, the best thing in the world, does not have touch sensitive controls on it. Volkswagen, thank you. We're back to physical buttons, and what a joy they are to use. You can't hit them by mistake with the heel of your hand as you're turning. They need a physical push to make them work. They're nicely, neatly designed into it. They're well labelled, you know, you can really see them nice and clearly, and you get volume and track search as 2 separate buttons there, and the rest of it's kind of cruise control and adjusting there. Thank you, Volkswagen, for getting rid of those infernal bloody touch sensitive things. They were shit. So very good, excellent. Your light switch is down by your right knee again. It's still that touch sensitive pad that they fit to the ID cars, and that's down there, but that's all right. This is a nice cockpit, you know, the nice design of cockpit with this kind of, I don't know, this kind of matrix dot system here that has this backlit glow behind it which shines through. This is the R-Line. I don't know if it's like that in the rest of them. I've only ever seen the R-Lines, but it's nice. I do like that. And you can change the ambient lighting. Now, talking of that, the quality of the materials is another step up again. Volkswagen, they're finding their mojo again with quality. Lovely soft touch rubber on top of the dashboard there that's got a nice bit of stitching running through it. You get the nice 3-spoke leather wheel with the perforated sections at 8:45. The R-Line car gets this Alcantara microfiber material that runs across the dash and into the doors. That's nice, and it's along the bolsters of the seats. The seats have got the leatherette and then the cloth, which is lovely and grippy. At first I was a bit, I don't know if I'd want a Passat, as I said, with the sporty looks and then the sporty seats and interior, but actually they hold you really well, and they're massaging as standard, which is excellent. Got 2-stage massage as standard, which is superb, and they've got a lot of adjustment. So although some of it is manual, I'm not going to be too critical on that, because you can tilt it, you can slide them backwards and forwards. There's electric adjustment of the backrest and lumbar support, and as I say, they're massaging as well, and they're heated. So in fairness, you know, the fact you've got to maybe tilt it by hand or manually move, you know, backwards and forwards, I'm not too fussed about that, in fairness. Good driving position with the wheel, obviously, which adjusts as well for reach and for rake, as you'd expect, and that goes there. One little change is there's no transmission lever on the tunnel now. They've moved it up onto this column stock up here that they did with ID cars. I'm still not sure about it. I think it's okay. I'm used to it now. You know, twisting it forward for drive, all the way back for reverse, push it in for P for park, and there's a sport mode as well. You just got to remember then that your wipers are the sort of like the smaller integrated buttons on this column stock, which is your wipers and obviously your main beam. And if you've got the IQ Light matrix system, obviously it's got adaptive main beam as well, so that's good. 2 paddles behind the steering wheel because it's got automatic only, so it's DSG. Depending obviously on the engine, which we'll talk about in a second, will depend on what box you get with it, but you've got manual adjustment there. Storage is excellent. We've got, look at this, you can cover that all up with those 2 blinds, which is nice. So you can slide one part just to get your cup holders for your coffee flask and your water bottle, or you slide it forward with your wireless charging pad in there, plus there's USB connectors in there, USB-C. There's a little one down in there. I don't know what that's for. I'm thinking it's maybe for coins or something. People still use coins for car parks or whatever, but that's okay. Engine stop start button there, electric park brake. This centre box here with this removable tray, which obviously you can put your Polo mints in, I would think. Interestingly, although it says Volkswagen AG there, it says Slovakia on it. Told you, Skoda. That sits in there quite neatly, he says. I bet I can't get back in now. How the bloody hell did I do that? Oh, there we go, that's it. So that sits in there. Plus, that is deep enough. Look, there's my iPad mini. That fits in there nice and neatly. In fact, I'd probably take a bigger size iPad in there, which is excellent. And there's a little card holder down there as well, which is good. And the door bins are lined with carpet. Thank you, Volkswagen. Lined door bins, which feel good and substantial. The only bit of quality that I'm going to pick fault with, and it's the only bit I've found and I've sat this morning while I was waiting on my daughter coming out of drama club, and I poked and I pushed and I went around the whole car to see if I could find it. When you've got these open, just the edge of that gloss black plastic trim is quite sharp. Watch yourself on that. It's like a paper, you give yourself a paper cut on that. But once you've pulled the blinds shut, you can't get to it. But just if it's open, that feels quite sharp to me. What's your wee hands on that? Other than that, oh, I did say this was got the pan roof, but I mentioned that earlier on, it's at the back, which has, you know, you can shut the blind just by swiping the thing there, and it does open as well. It's quite a large opening as well, so if you want an open sunroof, you've got it. Right, I don't need to talk any more about it because it's marvellous. I love it. It's really good. I think, as I say, like the outside, I think personally I'd probably prefer the elegance with maybe a lighter design of interior in terms of the cloth and stuff, but I'm not going to, that's personal preference. This is a nice interior, you know, that is a lot better. Whether or not you need the bigger one or not is down to you. I'm not sure. Maybe you probably got on okay with the smaller one. I like the digital dash here. That works well. You can configure it just enough. All the bits in there are better, way better than they were. It's still not the best, but it's still very good and a big improvement. I still don't like the swipey controls. I prefer to have dials and knobs, physical buttons, rather than having to go into a screen. But in fairness, because the screen now works a lot better, it's not the hassle that it once was. There's good storage. It's very comfortable. It's relatively well equipped. I love the materials they're using. Yeah, it's a really good interior for this new Passat. I really like it. Now, when it comes to UK Passats, they all are petrols. It's a petrol unit as in the standard car, and then you've got a plug-in hybrid option with 2 different power ratings, so 3 choices of driveline, if you like, and that's what you get in the UK. Really nice and simple. They're all based around this 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, the TSI unit. Okay, so the base petrol that you get is 150 PS with 250 Newton meters of torque. Okay, that's it. Then you move up to the plug-in hybrids, and you see you got a choice of 2 power ratings, if you like. The first one is a 204 PS power rating, same 250 Newton meters of torque. But whereas with the standard petrol you get a 7-speed DSG gearbox, when you go to the plug-in hybrids it's a 6-speed. Don't know why, but I assume it's to do with how the transmission mates to the hybrid system. But there you go. So that's a 204 PS unit, 250 Newton meters of torque. Or you can have this one, which is the top of the line 272 PS unit with same 250 Newton meters of torque. They like the 250 Newton meters of torque, so that's what you get. And again, the 6-speed DSG gearbox unit. Now, both the plug-in hybrids, in terms of, they've sort of replaced the old Passat GTE. So the battery in them is not quite doubled in size, but it's a hell of a lot more. It's a 19.7 kilowatt hour usable capacity. And Volkswagen claim that you should get an electric only range of nearly 80 miles out of that on the WLTP, which is brilliant, because effectively for some people that is effectively going to make it an electric car. You know, if just your daily commute or up to the station or running the kids to school or driving into the office, whatever, is quite low, you might never see the engine come on through the week. So that's good. And if you're a company car driver, that's excellent. Right, the other thing that's really different with this is the fact that we can charge it, because it'll normally be plug-in hybrids, they're very, very slow to charge from wall boxes, but this has got an onboard 11 kilowatt charger, so 3-phase electricity it can take the charging from, and you can also charge it at fast chargers when you're out on the move, because it'll take up to 50 kilowatts on the DC charge, meaning you go from a 10 to 80% charge in just 23 minutes, which is phenomenally good. And as I say, bearing in mind, as I say, if you're a company car driver, then your CO2 emissions, which is going to help for when it comes down to your taxation, is going to be between 8 and 10 grams per kilometre, depending obviously on which one you end up going for. Now, if you're looking at fuel economy on the standard 1.5 litre engine without the hybrid system, Volkswagen claim on the combined cycle, what do they claim? Nearly 50 mpg, so that's not too bad. They claim a ridiculous 700 mpg with the plug-in hybrids, but in fairness, the fact that it can do 80, you're never going to get that, let's be honest, but the fact that you can do nearly 80 miles on battery power alone is phenomenal. Okie doke, I've got the 272 PS car, so if we were to talk about round numbers, it will do 0 to 60 in just a shade over 7 seconds, which is 2 seconds quicker than the base 1.5 non-plug-in hybrid car, and it goes on to a top speed where permitted of just shy of 140 miles an hour. So it's not a slouch, is it? But it's also quite a big car, and it's quite a heavy car, especially with that plug-in hybrid system. But it's quick enough for the type of car that it is. Now, what's important with the car in terms of what Volkswagen have done with it. They've improved their dynamic chassis control, the DCC system, which is standard on the R line that I have here, but you can have it as an option on the Life and the Elegance models. Okay, now whether or not you feel the extras payment is worth it or not is entirely up to you. You have a drive in it, but what it does is it just allows a greater degree of adjustability from you as a driver. Now, I'm not trying to turn it into a track monster. That's not what I'm saying. You know, you're not going to stiffen it all up and go and attack the Nürburgring. I'm sure some people might, but that's not what it's about. So what you now have is, over the old system, it has 2 valves on the dampers now, so it has better control of the rebound and the compression of the dampers, which is much better, you know, in terms of the way that the dampers react. The car also has a vehicle dynamics manager as well, and that toys around with the electronic differential locks as well, and allows much more control over braking of individual wheels as well. And with that, and sort of like stiffer camber settings, and changes to sort of like the 4-link rear axle at the end and the steering, it all adds up to make the car feel just that better controlled, if you like. You know, you're going down a road, you've got a bit of a twisty road ahead of you, things aren't kind of rolling around and you're not flopping about, and you know, your Labrador's not feeling sick in the back. That's basically what it all comes down to. And it does have a little bit of a difference to the car. Now, you can set it all up in here as well, so there are various different modes you can have. So if I go into the mode button there, you've got Eco, Comfort, Sport and Individual, and if you go into Individual, you can then actually set it up how you want it. So you can go into the settings menu there. There's 15 settings of the dampers between Comfort and Sport. You know, I mean, who's going to need all of that? And you can change the steering and the way that it feels on a drive, and even giving a sportier engine sound. So there's a lot you can do with it. Most people aren't going to bother, if I'm being blunt about it. You're going to stick it in Eco, Comfort or Sport and leave it be. And actually in Comfort mode, the car's really quite nice, I have to say. So that's what they've done sort of like underneath the car. So, you know, fiddled around with steering and suspension and fitted that. But as I say, bear in mind that's on an R-line car. How does the engine feel? The engine's really nice. Again, you know, when we talk about sort of like, you know, the new sizes of engines that come in cars, and the smaller engines, albeit they're turbocharged or they're fitted, you know, with electrical assistance like you have here, there's still an old dinosaur in me and goes, oh, a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder in a big car like that, that's not going to be much cop. Actually, it's a really nice engine, I have to say. It's very smooth in its power delivery. It's quite torquey as well. So as I say, 250 newton meters of torque, you know, you put your foot down, and it really does pick up. It's nice, and it's a really nice progressive power. It just gathers speed really nicely. And the other thing about it is how refined the whole car feels. You know, it feels like a proper grown-up's car, the Passat. It always did in some respects, but there was almost, every time I used to drive a Passat, you know, it was always sort of like, dare I suggest, if I'm being honest here, and it's a bit harsh, it was always the bland option. I always felt, you know, oh, it's just a Passat, it'll be all right, it'll do the job, you know, it'll just do the job and get on with it. There was no enjoyment to be had with it. And as I say, whilst I'm not suggesting, you know, it's a BMW 3 Series here, because that is still, I think, the benchmark when it comes to the driver's car in this segment of the market. It's very accomplished, the Passat. And actually, I've got a long drive to do in this car in a couple of days' time. I'm going up to the Peak District from my house in Surrey to drive the new Dacia Duster, and I'm taking this, and I'm really looking forward to it, to see what, you know, because I think it's going to be a really nice. It's a very early start, it's a 5 o'clock start, and I think it's going to be a really nice drive up there, as long as the weather's okay, you know, driving something like this, because there's a refinement about the Passat that feels right. As I say, it feels like a grown-up's car. You know, I was really unsure of these seats. You know, why would I want these kind of sporty style seats in a Passat? But actually, they hold you really well. Sorry, we're just going through this width restriction. The person in front's taking their time. Rightly so, it's tight. So yeah, so you know, there's an element of you goes, why do I need sporty seats in a Passat? But they just hold you well, and there's so much adjustment in them. There's these, they're called, what they call, Volkswagen call ergo active. You know, I say they've got massage function. They're really nicely cushioned, so they hold you in all the right places, and they're good adjustability. Excellent. The refinement away from you know, sort of like the engine and transmission, you know, wind noise and stuff, very well suppressed. It's not Lexus-like, you know, I'd say Lexus do that probably the best that I've driven. You know, Lexus I think is king of refinement in you know, in any class of car, but this is very good. As I say, I'm not dreading a long sort of like, you know, 3.5 hour drive on Monday with it. I think it'll be decent. The instrument cluster, the driving position, all the controls, everything falls easily to hands. Everything's nice and easy to use. And as I say, whilst they've retained these touch screens and touch sensitive buttons over here, it isn't so bad. You know, you can still get into it relatively easy with quick access. You've also got Volkswagen's voice activation system, IDA, as well, where you can train it to do certain functions for you around the car as well, so you can use voice activation too. So that's excellent. So let's talk a bit more about the running gear. So you've got, as I say, because it's the plug-in hybrid, you've got the 6-speed DSG transmission. So when you're in drive, you flick the lever across into sport mode now, so it'll hold on to the gears longer now before it upshifts. And you can also now change gear manually yourself, and it tells you in the dashboard now I'm in 3rd gear. So let me get a little bit of space in between that car in front, and I'll just accelerate. 4th, 5th. Really, really nice, you know, the DSG gearbox, the direct shift gearbox. It's always been a good box, I've always felt. And you don't really miss the 7th gear, in fairness. You know, it's fine. Don't think, and again, a bit like this, I don't think a lot of people will actually play around with it. I think most people will just, because it's a Passat, you'll just leave it in drive, you'll just let it get on with its job, because that's what it's designed to do and that's what it's good at. So that's that. Last thing really to discuss is the brakes. Nothing behind me. Nice powerful brakes. You know when you push a brake pedal and you feel it's almost like a pump, like a damper that you're pushing down on. That's what that feels like. It's got really nice action to the brake pedal. I really like that. You can set up some recuperation, some energy recovery, you know, where the car will slow itself down as well, because obviously with being the plug-in hybrid, it will slow itself down and pump energy back into the battery as well. So you can do that, and again it'll tell you on the dashboard there whether you're on power or whether it's on charge effectively. So, you know, like most cars like this do. So look, there's you know, in some respects it doesn't sound like the most exciting road test review of a car I've ever done, but that's the thing with the Passat. It's not designed to be that hell-raising, hair-raising type of sports saloon. As I say, even the old R36, it was a good car, but it was never something that was scalpel sharp, you know, like a BMW 330iM Sport or something like that. It was just designed to be a very comfortable way of covering ground very quickly. And that's what we have here. You know, it's comfortable, it's quiet, it's refined, it's easy to use, it's quick enough. I think this 272 PS one is a really nice power option for the car. I think this is a real sweet spot in the range, because I say the added weight to the hybrid system just means that it feels like it's right enough. The engine's nice, it revs well, it's not coarse, it's got a nice smooth power delivery, it's turbocharged, so again the torque is there, the gearbox is nice to use, the brakes are nice. It's just a good car. It's one of those cars, it's a bit like a Barber jacket. You know, it's just a jacket, but the more you use it, the more you wear it, it's the one you'll go and pick up every time, you know, that the weather looks a bit inclement outside. That's what the Passat's like. It's just your go-to kind of car. It's your go-to Barber jacket. And I really like this car. I think they've done really well with it. To say it's not exciting, but it's not designed to be. It's just designed to be good at what it does, and it does it, and it does it well. I like it. Now, a bit like the engines, the pricing's quite nice and easy to follow as well, because obviously you've just got three drive lines and 3 trim levels, and you can obviously, you know, have a combination of what you like in terms of that. So if you start off with the lead-in Life model with the 1.5 TSI unit non-plug-in hybrid, that kicks the range off at £38,490. When you move up to the mid-ranking Elegance with the same engine, it's 41,590, and then when you go to the R line, that tops the range out at 42,840, and that's for just the 1.5 litre cars. Obviously you pay more for the plug-in hybrids, but to give you an idea, this is an absolute top of the range car. So it's the plug-in hybrid with the 272 PS power unit in the R line. That costs just over £50,000 without options, but as tested here with metallic paint, the panoramic sunroof, the tow bar with trailer assist, the larger 15-inch infotainment pack, that means you're going to need £55,035, and there's a couple of more options you can add on to that as well if you want. So, you know, it's a broad spread, isn't it? But as I say, it's relatively simple to arrange to understand. You pick your trim level and you pick the drive line that you want, and it's somewhere between £38,000 and £55,000 depending on your end trim level. Disappointingly, however, there's still only a 3-year warranty with Volkswagens. So, you know, some of the manufacturers, you know, certainly from the Far East, you know, even with Toyota, admittedly they're not making a car like the Passat Estate. Sorry, there's a helicopter just gone over. Admittedly, they're not making a car like the Passat Estate anymore. But, you know, I thought Volkswagen might have tried to lure us in with a bit more of a confidence-inspiring warranty other than 3 years. But what's interesting, sorry, I've written this down, they offer a choice of servicing schedules depending on how you use the car. So if the cars that are driven, you know, sort of like bigger mileage, they're driven a bit harder, they're saying that you need the servicing once a year or about 9,000 miles. But if you're lower mileage or you're not quite as hard on the car as maybe some, you can extend that servicing interval up to over 18,000 miles or 2 years before visiting your local dealer. So that might help in your whole life costs as well. And also bear in mind, residually, Passats have always done well. So in terms of, again, that whole life cost when it comes to residual values, decent, I would say. Now, if you're thinking because everyone's gone down the SUV route that this car is going to be standing in the marketplace all on its own and this is going to be a choice, you're mistaken, because actually if you look into it, there's a bit more out there than what you maybe think is available in the estate car market. I mean, okay, none of them wear a Ford, a Vauxhall, a Toyota or a Honda badge anymore, but the biggest competition I see coming from this car is the enemy within, Skoda, with the Superb Estate, the aptly named Superb Estate. And bear in mind, as I say, Skoda did most of the development work on this car while they're developing the new Superb. So that's, I think, is its toughest rival, if you think, coming from within. The other enemy within is from Audi, because Audi have got the new A5 Avant. Now you're saying, well, hang on, it's A4, isn't it? No, they've changed it. So the 4 nomenclature, even numbers in Audi's range, are going to be electric now. Combustion engines are going to be odd numbers. So A4 becomes A5, and there's a new one of those out with an Avant model. So that's going to be a consideration from there, obviously, and it's very much its premium brand, isn't it? Talking to those premium brands, obviously the popularity of them with cars such as BMW, the 3 Series Touring, that's a car that you might consider a bit smaller, but still, you know, a real driver's car, and as I say, very, very popular in this market sector, as is the Mercedes-Benz C-Class as well. So you've got Audi, BMW and Mercedes-Benz to consider. Volvo, they realised their mistake by sort of like moving away from the estate car market. They said, that's it, we're not going to bring any more estates into the UK, and everyone up in arms went, what? No more Volvo estates? That's madness. So they're back, and of course you've got to consider the V60. Estate, which is a great car. I really like the V60, so that's another car to consider. And good old Peugeot, they're clinging on there as well with the 508 SW. I don't think that car is going to be replaced because Peugeot are very much moving towards an electrified future. So it'll be interesting to see what does replace the 508 when it does come, but it's a great car, and of course it comes with, like the rest of them, with plug-in hybrid options, albeit with much lower electric-only driving range than the Passat. But in terms of the style element of it, that's a really good-looking car. Not quite as practical, but really good-looking. But Volkswagen have only itself to blame for this next piece of competition, because bear in mind, from Volkswagen itself, you might even consider the ID.7 Tourer. It's all electric estate car now. So the Passat continues to be A well-built, well-executed, refined, good, practical family car for those that just don't want an SUV. It keeps all the old attributes that we loved about the Passat estate, you know, the spacious interior, the refined driveline, the well-built interior, the comfort, and it blends it with a more modern technology, especially with the plug-in hybrids, that's going to keep all the old Passat customers who have been loyal to the brand for ages happy, while sort of like introducing them to the new technology that Volkswagen's ushering in its electrified world. And who knows, it might just be that sort of like stepgap that some of them need to go that fully electric way with the ID.7 Tourer. Keener drivers will want to look elsewhere, and I would also suggest you probably want to take a look at the Skoda Superb before you sign on the dotted line. But otherwise, what we have here is a well-built, spacious, nice to drive, practical, refined, good old family estate car from Volkswagen. What more could you ask for? Thanks for watching another new car review on House of Cars. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure that of course you're subscribed to the channel. If you haven't already, then make sure you do that. And of course press the little bell button down below, because that's the way you get notified when the next video is uploaded and it's gone live. If you have enjoyed this week's review, then please make sure you give it a bit of a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget, leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you have the older generation of Passats? Has this tempted you to go and look at a new Passat? Or have you moved to SUVs because you thought you weren't so keen on what Volkswagen were doing with the new one? Have you bought something else instead? Did you buy the Skoda? Did you buy the BMW or the Audi? And of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, good and bad. Now remember, I'm on Instagram as well, so if you're a follower of the gram, then you can find me on @HouseofCars1973, so by all means please give me a follow there too. And remember, whether or not it is a large car or it is a small car, whether or not it's a new car, it's an old car, it's a slow car or it's a fast car, you're going to find them all here in the House of Cars. Thanks once again for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'll see you again soon.